Okay, this is the last one, Unit 1, Learning Target 3. Solve one variable inequalities and graph the solution on a number line. All right, so the first thing is inequality. So you're going to want to pause and write this down. It is a statement that one quantity is less than or greater than another quantity. So we can have it be less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. The way I like to think of it is if you have a hard time remembering it, less than, if I draw an arrow, it points to the less than numbers on a number line. And then greater than, if I make that into a number line, points to the greater numbers on a number line. A lot of you might have done like Pac-Man or something. So like 7 is greater than 3. It eats the smaller number. 6 is less than 12. It eats the smaller number. I don't know, however you remember it. All right, so here we're going to fill these in and with the inequality. So at least 6 glasses. So I'm going to do my letter or my variable as G for glasses. And if I have at least 6 glasses, that means I can have 6, 7, 8, or 9. So that means I'm going to be greater than or equal to 6. And the number of glasses I have is greater than or equal to 6. So I can have 6, I can have 7, 8, or 9, but I can't have 3. Below 40 degrees, so I'm going to do D for degrees. If I'm below 40, that means I can't be 40, so I'm not including. That equal is including. I'm not including 40, but I'm going to be like 39, 38, so it's going to be less than 40. Fewer than 20 calories, I'm going to do C for calories, so fewer than, that's going to be less than. So I can have less than 20, I can have 18, I can have 12, I can't have 26, I can't even have 20. At most $10, so this I'm going to put an M for money. At most, that means I can have $10, but I can't have 11. The most I can have is 10. So I can have $9, $8, $7. So I can have less than or equal to $10. I can have 10, I can have 9, I can have 8. This one's going to be between 2, so I'm going to do degrees again. But since it's between 2 things, I can set it up like this. And this is including the numbers, and this would be not including the numbers. So between 35 and 120 degrees, that doesn't tell me really if I can include it or not. So I'm going to say that it can be either of these. So 120, so it's between 35 and 120. So D is less than or equal to 120, but greater than or equal to 135. And same thing here. I don't really know. Next slide. All right, so now I'm going to tell you my story of why, well, just a funny story. So I have a huge fear of vomit, and when I was a junior in college, I was in a class, and the way that the class is set up is kind of like my class, how my class is set up. So just assume that I was sitting like by the door, but like the very last row in, but like a couple of rows in, so I can't like just easily run and get out. And I'm the second to last seat, and there's a kid behind me, and he makes this noise behind me, but it sounds like he's about to vomit, like all over the back of me. So I get up in the middle of my teacher teaching in the class. I get up and I sprint to the front of the room because I think he's going to vomit, and he sneezes. And so everyone's looking at me like, why did you just sprint to the front of the room? And I had to explain to everyone that I have a fear of vomit and that this kid just sneezed, but I thought he was going to vomit. So the kid apologized to me for sneezing when you don't apologize for sneezing, and it was really awkward. And that's my story. All right, solve the inequalities and graph the solution on a number line. So we're going to solve these just like an equation, except there's a couple of special cases, and we'll get to those. So I'm going to solve just so it says, again, like so it's like x is greater than or equal to, or x is less than, or blah, 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 number, letter. So I'm going to minus an 8 from both sides. I have 2x, this still stays greater than or equal to 3, right? Did I minus 8? Yep. Divide by, is that the same example that I have? Hold on. 2x plus 8 equal, greater than or equal to 1. Okay, yeah, just making sure. Divide by 2, divide by 2. X is greater than or equal to 3/2. That's my answer. So if I want to graph this, here's 0, here's 1, here's 2. 3/2 is going to be what? 1.5. So that's right here. Since this is greater than or equal to, my circle is filled in. It's a filled in circle on that point. I'm including it. When it's included, it's a filled in circle, and it's greater than or equal to, so my arrow should go this way, and I kind of fill it in and draw an arrow. Another easy way to think of it, as long as your X is on the left side, your arrow's going to go the same way that this is going, as long as your X is on the left side. So if it was like this, I would have drawn my arrow this way, as long as my X is on the left side. All right, so that is what for a greater than. So let's do this one. I'm going to divide by a -8. When I divide by a negative, so this has nothing to do with subtracting by a negative. Subtracting by a negative, everything stayed the same. If I divide by a negative, instead of this being less than or equal to, I flip it. -56, or 56 divided by -7. So here's my number line. Here's 0. Let's say this is -7. I don't care. It is, there's an equal to, greater than or equal to, so it should be a closed circle. My arrow is pointing that way. It's greater than, so it should be this way still. And that would be my picture. So 2x, this isn't the problem you guys have. So, hold on. You guys have x over 2 plus 5 is less than or equal to -3. All right, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to subtract, minus 5. So I don't have to do anything because I'm not dividing or multiplying by a negative. So this gives me -8. Now I times by 2 to get rid of that. I'm still multiplying by a positive number, so I do not switch it. And then -16. So here's my number line. Let's say if this is 0, let's pretend that this is -16. It's less than or equal to, so it's going to be a closed circle. And then my arrow is pointing this way, or it's less than, so I go this way. That would be my graph. For this one, this is the same problem. I just want you to switch it to just a greater than, not greater than or equal to. In your notes, switch it to just greater than. So here I'm going to solve. I'm going to subtract a y minus y. So I have 3y plus 5 is greater than 26, minus 5 minus 5. So I have 3y is greater than 21, divide by a positive, divide by a positive. So it stays the same way, and this is 7. So here's 0, let's say this is 7. Since this does not have an equal to like this is just greater than, it is not greater than or equal to. It is an open circle. I do not fill it in like that one. And then it's still pointing this way. So I'm just going to add a random page. So if it is greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, it's a closed circle. If it's just greater than or less than, it's an open circle. If you divide or multiply by a negative, you switch the direction. So if it was this, it becomes this. As long as your variable is on this side, you draw your arrow pointing that same way, as long as the variable is on the left side. So that's just a little hint. Your before class, solve the inequality, -3a minus 7 is greater than 2.3, and graph this solution on a number line.